Hey everyone, this is peripheral artery disease chat time. It's not often that you find other people with this wretched debilitating disease, right? In your own neighborhood, even though 1 in 5 people over age 60 has it, 1 in 10 diabetics over the age of 50 has it. But Sky did a study, and that's a Society for Cardiovascular Interventional, whatever. Anyway, Sky, SCAI. They found that more than 70% of Americans don't know that PAD even exists. And that's pretty sad. And yet you walk around and you see so many people having trouble walking. And they're all told, well, it's just my diabetes. It's just my diabetic neuropathy. Oh, it's just my back. Oh, it's just old age. Oh, I was told I have bad veins. Oh, I was told it's poor circulation. All of these excuses. And yet, there was a journal for internal medicine or something, or gastrointerventional or something. You can tell I can remember all these things, um, the specifics. But I just remember the stat that they said that 5 and 6 PAD patients are not getting diagnosed with PAD because their primary care doctors aren't recognizing the symptoms. They don't recognize textbook symptoms and they're diagnosing them with something else first, which aligns with a poll that we did in our group of more than 400 members, and it showed that more than 70% of members who presented the very first time to their primary care with textbook symptoms of trouble walking and neuropathy and what are some other cold feet or whatever it might be, um, they were told it was something else. And sometimes it took months, if not years, to get a diagnosis. And some people say that it's their own research and finding the group. That's where they ended up figuring out. I just had a woman, you guys, last night. We have a live studio audience, by the way. We have Marina, we have Marie, we have Pam, and oh, it looks like we have Grammy. We have Nancy that's here too, joining the conversation. This is Fem Power Ladies Day in Lady Tuesday. But we had a call on the hotline, River Leg Saver hotline. You could see it right there in the corner, 1833 PAD legs. And if you're in the UK, you can just email me at KYM at padhelp.org and I'll set up a Zoom with you or a WhatsApp with you. But to answer all your questions, we do work with the Royal College of Vascular Surgery over there in the UK. So happy to help if you need assistance in facilitating care there or need more information. And in fact, you guys, we have a researcher coming on Wednesday during our UK hangout to share some new educational materials that all of our members helped to contribute to. And that's going to happen tomorrow. And so make sure to check out our YouTube site, youtube.com/the @ the weight of my heart. But we did have a call on the hotline. Back to, I digress, from a patient actually in Michigan, Marie. And the woman, I felt terrible. It had to have been 11 o'clock last night, Eastern time. And she was a woman of color, and she ended up, having rest pain, and it was waking her up. And she has severe diabetes. She had run out of her insulin because she's on
No.
Medicaid. I know. And she has never been diagnosed with PAD, but was on YouTube because she had this rest pain and was looking up what are these symptoms. And she found our hotline and she's like, I really didn't expect anyone to answer, but I thought, wow, what if someone could just talk to me about it? And of course, I answered the call and I'm waiting to hear from her because I was going to try to get her into the emergency room today. And with a doctor, anytime you
What
go to the
area?
emergency room for PAD, call our hotline and let's see if we can make sure we have an on-call limb salvage specialist on call, right?
Is she near Bay City where you can get her maybe Dr. M?
No, she was wait, actually
Uh,
it wasn't Michigan. It was Milwaukee. I apologize. So
yeah.
she was Wisconsin. I don't know why it started with an
Yeah,
M.
Dr. M's definitely a long drive.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so we were gonna have Dr. Manassas or Dr. Gabe come on. Um, but Dr. Gabe said that he is going to He's the former chief medical officer for the American Diabetes Association. And once a month, we try and either have him or Dr. Thanos Manassis from NYU Langone that comes on to ask questions. But it looks like Dr. Manassis had emergencies today. Endocrinologists are few and far between. And so diabetes is out of control in this country, and we just don't have enough people, endocrinologists, to go around. So he had to cancel. And then Dr. Gabe said he'll come on again in the next couple of weeks. So we'll continue to gather those questions for people. And if you do have something immediate, just let me know and I will forward that message to either Dr. Gabe or Dr. Manassis to try and get a more immediate question. But every Monday, we do have a diabetes reversal doctor. And we have office hours from 12 to 12:30 Pacific time. And then it's 3 to 3:30 Eastern time. So you're welcome to join. And this Monday, we're going to talk about, I don't know about you, what's the funniest thing that you guys have seen on Instagram in terms of health information? I saw that broccoli provides no nutrition. It goes in one end and out the other. That carrots have no nutritional value because they were man-made. Celery has no nutritional value, not even worth eating. That if you eat, I think it was blueberries and walnuts, that it'll cleanse your arteries. All of these different claims. And I'm curious what's true, what's fallacy. So Dr. Michael Danziger is going to address all of those on Monday. And if anyone has any of those types of social media posts from the faceless channels that are developed in other countries, please send them our way, info@padhelp.org, so we can put them in front of Dr. Michael
One
Danziger and have them
question.
talk about it. What, Marie?
I have one question. I don't know if you'd
Sure.
even know the answer, but I've heard that if you're hypoglycemic, as you get older, it's possible for it to twist and become diabetes. Do you know if that's true?
Oh, I don't know. That's a really good question. We could write that one down and put that in
Okay.
front of one of the doctors when we have them on next. Um, I'm not sure if any of the doctors that we're having over the next few days, you know who's in the group. If people join padsupportgroup.org and you tag Dr. Jean, Jean Chen, she is a diabetes educator. She has type 1 diabetes as well. And she is also a registered podiatrist. She doesn't practice right now, but she is a registered podiatrist and she is in the group and she will answer all of those questions. We just have to tag her. So that's a really good question. Hi, Grammy. Hi, Nancy. Good to see you. Oh, she just jumped off. I think she hit the wrong button instead of, I've done that before where you go to unmute and then you suddenly cancel yourself
Hang up.
out. But we were talking, you guys, before we got started here, and a doctor out of Florida, I don't want to mention his name just in case United Healthcare is listening, but I was looking up United Healthcare policies because he gave me some information that is a little disconcerting. I understand somewhat, but I think it goes too far in overriding the doctor. Insurance companies should not be playing doctor. And if a supervising doctor believes that something is needed for a patient, I think that the treatment or the uh, diagnostics should be performed. And I don't think enough is being done to literally put these insurance companies on notice to say, you're killing patients. You're leading to amputations. We have had several patients that have been denied procedures to save their limbs, ended up because the pain was too excruciating. They go to the emergency room and they cut off their legs because they don't have, a lot of these hospitals do not have a certified vascular surgeon on duty. And they don't have interventional radiologists or interventional cardiologists that perform limb salvage. And if there are doctors in office based facilities that are ready and able and willing to do these limb salvage procedures, they should be able to do it. Now, granted, there are a subset of doctors. There are a handful, but it is the exception to the rule. I won't say there's none. I can definitely count them on my, unfortunately, two hands. There are doctors, and I know Marina, who's here on a live studio audience, had the experience where they never told her to walk, walk, walk. I do believe 1,000% conservative therapy prior to any procedure is critical. There is an exception to the rule there in that there are people that cannot do their job. We've had two mailmen, one male woman, that literally could not do their route. They do walk every day. And while they were not in a formal exercise, supervised exercise therapy program, their job is to walk. They walk every single day. They walk miles every single day. And yet they still have PAD due to a variety of different reasons, whether it's diabetes, whether it's autoimmune conditions, whether it's genetic, whether it's a clotting disorder that they might have. They might have smoked at some point. They might even be a smoker. These two were not smokers. One did have diabetes, and the other one just had high cholesterol genetically, so hypercholesterolemia, and so they ended up with PAD. And despite the walking, they their disease was progressing, and yet one of them ended up with an amputation because the insurance company did not allow the doctor to perform a procedure. And this patient was in too much pain and they didn't have wounds, was what they cited. You are not in CLI because you don't have wounds. And they didn't have rest pain because of their diabetes. They had neuropathy, so it was numb. So they had numbness that prevented them from experiencing the standard claudication. They had a little burning and tingling. And so they went to the hospital, and the hospital's like, well, you have below the knee disease. You have two choices here. We can just amputate, or, you can just live with it. And the patient was like, I gotta move on with my life here. And so they ended up with an amputation. I don't know all the exact details, but the other doctor said it was possible to open up those arteries and get them walking again. But the other doctor inside the hospital was like, nope, not worth even treating below the knee. And the insurance company, it's surprising, carte blanche, they approve an amputation. Carte blanche, no questions asked. But yet a limb salvage procedure, they question. And I still don't understand this to this day. I don't get it. I don't know about any of you guys, but I don't get it.
That's
Am I
why I
crazy?
always call leg savers first.
Yeah, and we fight. We really fight as hard as we can. But the fight is just
And
getting
you're
harder and harder. Um,
when you fight. I've been in the bed at the hospital and called you and told you, doctor just walked in, said he's cutting my leg off. And you're like,
yeah,
let me talk to your doctor. And I walked out with two legs.
right?
I will never forget that. I think that was Dr. Sharkey. Yeah, I told you, I said, he's taking my leg, Kim. And you're like, no, he's not. Let me talk to your doctor.
Yeah, I
He
was
didn't.
I was really not going to allow that to happen. I
Yeah,
mean,
and you guys fight. I mean, anybody who does not realize it, you honest to God, fight.
yep, I will fight till the bitter end. And thankfully, we do have doctors that will just suck it up and
Yeah.
eat the cost. And we've had that quite a few times where really kind doctors are doing that. But it says here, so this doctor is saying it's happening in Florida to multiple folks. It's happened to him. The peer review doctors, I don't know if you know how these insurance companies work. Um, wow. He's saying that even said that the hospital procedure for critical limb ischemia, the most advanced stage, was not indicated. Who are these insurance companies that are making up these rules that contradict even the Society for Vascular Surgery guidelines? You don't need to have a wound that's not healing to be in CLI. You could really take care of your feet. You and I both have a friend that's in another country, Marie, that
Yep.
took she takes really good care of her feet, pays private for a podiatrist, and they really protect her feet. And so they didn't believe she was in CLI, and it took forever to get her iliac opened up. And that's a really big artery. And her foot was cold, and yet they wouldn't do anything for the longest time. And finally, we fought tooth and nail and inspired them to do the right thing, and things were much better. But people should not be suffering um, at all. We should
I
not be
don't know if
allowing this. They
you,
shouldn't have to fight this hard to get treatment. And we're talking CLI. Every patient that I've dealt with that has been denied has always been a CLI patient. Um, we just had one in Michigan. I think it was in Michigan, Marie, with a patient at Henry Ford Hospital. Henry
Mhm.
Ford Hospital does not have an advanced limb salvage program, but they have some great vascular surgeons that are renowned that will do the right thing for these patients. They're not going to do a procedure that is not necessary. And the insurance company said because this patient does not have a wound on their foot, a procedure to open up the iliac was not warranted. Another situation like this. And I put posts up, I did a video. I haven't heard from him. So I'm thinking that maybe things went well. And my inspiration publicly helped to get his procedure moving forward. But for some of these patients, they may not, thankfully, have wounds. We don't want people to get to the point of wounds. And with diabetes and chronic kidney disease, patients are not showing up until they reach CLI. And a lot of them don't feel it because of the neuropathy until the point where suddenly they get a wound that's not healing. They get really bad burning, their leg locks up at night. And that's when the doctors are like, oh, or the insurance company say, maybe we'll treat you. Maybe. And we've had many patients on our Leg Saver hotline that they've called in the middle of the night, Eastern time, and we've had to coach them through dangling their legs over the side of the bed, grabbing a little tonic water, and taking a mouthful of mustard, even. There were a couple of those, some pickle juice, pacing back and forth, but just really offering hope to people to get them through the night that someone was going to do something. But if you're going to make it hard on patients to get a limb salvage procedure, let's make it just as hard or even harder to get an amputation, because more than 60% of amputations are being performed without a proper vascular evaluation, 90% of which are being performed with a doctor not even following American Heart Association and Society for Vascular Surgery guidelines that indicate that a doctor should at least try to revascularize, whether it's an endovascular procedure or bypass prior to any amputation. They should at least try. And we had a patient over in Boston just last week, and the doctor, but I don't count trying to the knee. If a person has below the knee disease and you only know how to open up a vessel to the knee, that does not count. In my opinion, that does not count. I know it doesn't get that specific in the guidelines. No, logic will take that does not count. You need someone who has the skills to do below the knee revascularization to at least try to open up those vessels. We even have Hail Mary procedures. There's one known as a deep vein arterialization where they can hijack a vein in the calf and reroute blood flow into the foot. And for the patient that we had in Boston, where the daughter, the son-in-law, they were sitting in the car with the patient, with mom, who was 85 years old, and they were ready to go to emergency. The pain for her was that bad, but they didn't want to go to their local hospital because the vascular surgeon had said, there's nothing we could do. Your vessels below the knee are too small to treat. Well, we know that's not true. Vessels are not too small to treat, period. So they were wondering which hospital to send her to. They just were going to amputate. And we were able to get over, I think, thankfully, in Boston, there are multiple hospitals with amazing vascular surgeons that do treat below the knee and do have the DVA as an option. And we got word on Monday that one of the vascular surgeons was able to perform a DVA. And you know what was really cool about that story is I called multiple vascular surgeons in Boston. They were all in London at the time at a prestigious conference sharing cross. And I said, "Hey, it's 10:30 at night there. I'm really sorry. Which one of you wants this patient at your emergency room?" There are different emergency rooms, right, all across the Boston area, and they all responded, which
Yeah.
was great. But one responded first, and what was really great about this doctor is he was very thorough, and he realized that this patient, he could go in and do a regular try and revascularize in an angiogram, taking wires and balloons in there, or he could try a big bad bypass and go from the thigh and maybe reattach in the foot. But he was like, you know what, I'm not really sure about that. And he could have resorted to amputation, but you know what he did when he realized that he didn't have the right toolbox, is he called one of the other vascular surgeons that in the area that performs the deep vein arterialization. That not everyone performs that yet. It's still being rolled out. They're still training people. It's an acquired skill, and you need the right tools to be able to do it. And this other doctor just happened to be one of the first to be trained in the area. And she jumped in and she's like, sure, I'll do it. It's amazing. Everybody working together. No one was arguing for their limitations and saying amputation. They were saying, what is available? What's available around me? Is there another option? I only have amputation at this point. I could do these other procedures, make money off of them and try them, but they're all going to fail. Let's get them to a different doctor with a different tool, different technique. So I thought that was pretty awesome. What do you guys think?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
see
that's a
Marina.
good
Marina
story.
hasn't jumped in. There's Marina.
No, I've been listening.
And you're recovering from a
Yeah.
bypass too. You've had a lot going on. But explain and tell people how important it is that they do conservative therapy prior to any procedures.
Yeah, I think we should all do the best we can. I mean, the last thing I wanted was a bypass, but I've had one now 4 weeks ago, and I'm really hopeful. I feel my leg. I'm not cramping. I'm not walking far because of another complication I had, but I'm walking far enough that I get claudication pain in my left leg and I do not get it in my right. So for me, that's very hopeful that I can go walk soon. So, and swim and, do everything I haven't been doing. So I'm really looking forward to feeling better.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And Marie's getting back in, but Marie, you're looking good. You're doing pretty well. You're getting by right now.
I'm trying. But you were mentioning as far as with CLI and wounds, you have seen my feet when I'm in CLI. You know I'm in it.
Yeah.
But I have never once had a wound on my feet. So all those surgeries they had to do to clear mine, they could have easily denied them all because I didn't have a wound just because I take care of my feet. That makes no sense whatsoever.
That's what they're doing. And what's really interesting is what they do is they'll deny and then you reappeal and then you deny again. And then you do what's called a peer-to-peer. The peer-to-peer, it's a doctor that's being paid by the insurance company. And
Oh, Lord.
I understand that these doctors need, some of them need a little extra money. Maybe they're retired and they're bored, and why not? Because someone's willing to pay them for their expertise, but they're only following the insurance company's guidelines. They're
Yeah.
not going to swerve away from there because they're not going to get bonuses. And the executives are not going to get their bonuses. Hate to say it, but that's all factual. It's true. It's out there. It's in print. We know from the publicly traded companies what these executives are being paid. But the whole goal is to deny, 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 deny. And we even had, and this is really sad, we had a gynecologist do a peer-to-peer with a vascular surgeon, telling the vascular surgeon that his expertise was not okay, that this patient didn't need the procedure. And
Oh my God.
that's not okay. And you know what? I was for a while there, I was saying that, well, insurance companies, if you don't trust a doctor making these decisions, then cut the doctor, right? If you don't trust the doctors, then cut the doctors. Don't go with them. Well, then they started doing that, not because of me, but they started dumping one of your doctors, Marie, we won't say who, a bunch of them ended up just dropping this doctor because this doctor was a limb salvage specialist, and other doctors in the area made more money off the amputations and didn't believe in treating below the knee. And I know there are doctors, and they're going to hate me. They're probably watching this right now saying you shouldn't treat below the knee, but the evidence is there now. I'm not even going to apologize. The evidence that treating below the knee is possible, and there are even new technologies. Abbott, one of the largest medical device companies in the world, Abbott, has a below the knee stent, a stent that they invested money in. It's a dissolvable stent for below the knee. That you can't say that it's not possible to treat below the knee and that you shouldn't treat below the knee. Why would Abbott be investing in, and why would the FDA clear a device for below the knee if you shouldn't treat below the knee? Stop looking at 2013 data that says it's not durable. Yes, every procedure is going to lead to a revolving door of procedures. Yes, some are more durable than others. Yes, mitigating the risk factors is one of the biggest keys to either stalling progression, stalling the revolving door, or I've had patients that have gotten on our walking program post procedure. They got in our diet program on Mondays with our office hours. They've gotten into our smoking cessation program on Mondays, and they're on our walking app. It's free. They're in our walking seminars on a weekly basis. That's free. They have accountability. They have motivation. They have inspiration. And they've literally stalled progression of their disease post procedure. It's amazing. But why aren't doctors putting evidence into place for a post procedure protocol for walking as medicine to help these patients rehab? I'm going to ask Marie and Marina, post procedure, were you ever offered a supervised exercise therapy program to help you rehab from that procedure and get you walking?
Nope.
No, I wasn't. The reason I went to one is on one of your Zoom calls, Kim, you had a doctor on, I don't remember who it was, and he was talking about structured exercise therapy. And after listening to him, I went to my doctor and said, where can I do this? And of course, it was right in his hospital, but he'd never mentioned it. It's crazy. It's just crazy why why didn't he tell me that?
I have drop foot in my left leg because they didn't do anything after. I can't remember what it's called. My calf had swelled so much with blood they had to cut the line. And
fasciotomy, Short-Term syndrome.
Yeah, that. I wound up getting drop foot from it, and I found out after the fact that I guess they should have sent me to a rehab so I didn't have it. Nobody ever said anything.
Yeah.
The first effort that I have seen on this has been through the UK, the United Kingdom, the Royal College of Vascular Surgery. They put some money into some research in the UK on this, and our members from the UK participated, and they realized that there needs to be some sort of a post-procedure protocol. I think my opinion of their research, I thought it was overall, it was great. It's meaningful because it puts the spotlight on post procedure protocols that should and hopefully at some point will include a walking therapy program. But some of the patients were talking about putting together educational resources on what is PAD, having seminars on what is PD. And for me, yes, we need it. I guess if it comes through that and it is post procedure and it's not anywhere else, well, you got to get it where and take it where you can get it. But I that should all be sooner. That should all be sooner versus later. I mean, you're literally that is the cart before that's like what is it? The cart before the horse? No, the horse before the cart. I don't know. Whatever it is, right? You know what I mean? It's like you're a little bit too late. That all of the educational stuff should be early on. People should know what PAD is. They should know what treatment they're going into. And I guess what they found is going into the waiting room prior to procedures that patients didn't even know what they were going in for. They didn't know what procedure it was. They didn't even know what pad was. There were several patients that were taught, I think I'm getting my veins done. And we do still have doctors that think it's easier for patients to understand the veins. So actually, there's the doctor. Can you two talk amongst yourself for 1 second and I'll get on the phone with the doctor?
So, Marie, when you had that compartment syndrome, how was that after a procedure or did just,
They had, I wound up having 6 surgeries in 7 days. They were trying to save my foot. And the final surgery, they finally got the pulse. So they saved it. But I guess from my leg got so big, swelling of blood, they had to cut it. And then they stuck a wound back on top of that. And I didn't know until
look what I have here, a wound vac.
Oh.
Yeah, I had I had a bypass, and then 2 weeks later, my leg just one night it just got so sore. I had to go to the emergency, and the nurse that triage said, "Oh, you got compartment syndrome. You got compartment syndrome." And I'd heard only horror stories of that, of how terrible it is for you. But
Right.
I didn't have it. I ended up having a hematoma, but a very big one. So my whole calf is cut and I'm trying to heal.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go on. So,
Oh, no. But
Yeah.
I didn't know until I went to my doctor, my vascular doctor, like 4 to 6 weeks after I left the hospital. And I showed him my foot, and he's like, "Well, why aren't you bending it? Why are you not able to have the mobility of it?" And I'm like, "No, I've been like that since I came home." And he's like, "They didn't send you to rehab?" I'm like, "For what? What are you talking about?" I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did you have
Isn't that
your wound
crazy?
back, if you don't mind me asking? Because I've had it 3 weeks. I would like to throw it away.
Oh, I
I
know.
know.
Those were painful too.
And I keep forgetting it. So I get a, oh, shit.
You're stuck.
Mine they
You're
removed
locked
before I left
in.
the hospital because um when they went to change it, I guess to go home with it, you have to be able to withstand the pain with just with like prescription medicine. I couldn't do it. When they went to change it, I was screaming, so they stopped and they gave me it was fentanyl they gave me.
Mm.
And my daughter-in-law said I was out. I was like out snoozing. I was gone. And when they ripped off the wound back to change it, she said I still screamed.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
bet.
And they said there was no way I could go home with it.
I've
Mm.
had it now. I had a change yesterday and I had a change today. I have another change on Thursday, and it's
You
brutal,
are one
brutal.
strong ass
I,
woman
I,
I
because
know. Go Marina.
honestly, I
Seriously, go
don't feel I
force.
have a choice. It has
Yeah,
gotten much
no.
better,
Okay,
but
good.
in 3 weeks, I can noticeably see the wound is smaller, but it's brutal. It's hard.
oh,
I'm so sorry. And people don't realize, and that's where I was saying with this doctor that was telling me about the insurance companies, that the insurance companies just don't understand the suffering that that you guys go through. And I think if they understood the suffering, and I don't know how to get it across to them. I don't know if they're just turning a blind eye to it, or just going deaf, when it comes to patient testimonials. They just don't understand how debilitating
Yeah.
this disease is.
but if
And
it was their parent, their spouse, anything, they would want everything done.
But
yeah,
people, I really believe unless you can physically see something, people don't understand it, because I tell you, I took pictures of my wound when it happened and I sent them, and the reactions I got from that is, oh my God, are you okay? How are you? It was, had I not, I said, I have a hematoma. Oh, I get a bruise on my hand sometimes too. Well, it's not really quite the same, but pictures, for me, anyways, from my family, and even now, I bring my husband with me to the changing so he can see how big this monster is on my leg and know, what I'm going through. Don't ask me to get you a cup of tea.
I wouldn't wish this disease on anybody, but I honestly wish there was, like with the show the other day, I wish there was at least one vascular doctor that had PAD in
Yeah,
every state,
yeah, that was
because
good.
I know he got it. He
Yeah,
understood.
yeah. But what
and
was
it's
interesting to me is, how far and he was able to travel for, the right doctor for him.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, until I met Kim, a doctor, I had no idea about the doctors, a good one versus or one that's right for me. So, and I know a lot of people are in that position before they find Kim, you know.
Mhm.
and we're formalizing that whole process, because there is a lot of criticism from the doctors that we don't seem to pay attention to. And those are criticizing, who is Kim? She's not a doctor. Why is she sending patients to doctors? Who's she sending them to? But why is she sending them to them and not us? How is she
If
making the
you ain't a
choice?
good
What
doctor,
does she
Kim is
know?
your worst
She knows nothing.
nightmare.
Right. I mean, but they because a couple of doctors weren't on one of the Medicare lists. When the group members, I try to, respond to your requests for what you guys want, what you guys need. And there's always that request to have a doctor's list. And people don't understand why you can't have a doctor's list. And this is a really good explanation. I think people will understand that there is no set of proved criteria for what is a critical limb ischemia doctor or what is a limb salvage professional. There is no evidence to prove who is one and who is not, and what is an advanced limb salvage doctor versus what is not. The way I look at it is, I've been in nearly a dozen countries, more than 30 states, watching hundreds of doctors perform thousands of hours of procedures in which they revascularized in a variety of different ways and they amputated. So I've seen so much, and I've talked to these doctors. I've reviewed the thousands of hours of footage from these and came up with questions based on the footage that I saw to dive deeper into what's being done, why it's done, should it have been done, can you do more? And I even went to just what was it, a few weeks ago in Italy, went to a conference where I learned even more of what's being done. There's so much a doctor can do with a wire and balloon. And the threshold that I have for that is, yes, just because it can be done, does it mean it should be done? No. But if a patient is on deck for amputation anyway,
Right.
and you may have a chance to move the needle,
Yeah.
you may be able to get just a little bit more blood flow to heal a wound and get the patient doing some foot exercises, maybe even start walking again to maybe save their foot. And some of the doctors will say, but they're going to lose their leg anyway. Why delay the inevitable? And I know, Marie, you've been one that has told me this a million times. I would rather walk to live another day and live to walk another day. I would, even if it is inevitable, I would rather keep my legs intact as long as I can, take my chances, because innovation is moving at the speed of
Yes.
light when it comes to PAD.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day, I'm seeing new amazing things. The physicians that are innovating, the companies that are innovating and supporting the physicians with these new advancements, from Abbott with their Esprit stent to Reflow Medical with their new retractable stent, which the doctor that has PAD, Dr. Kevin Lurie from Alaska, decided to have his revascularization done on his leg only because of that, as a new advancement, where he said, okay, I think that it's going to be durable based on what I've seen with this brand new retractable stent. It's now time. I found the right doctor, and Dr. Amaral Sergani out of Hawaii, and I'm going to get it done. And originally, they had planned for doing both legs, but because the one leg had such great improvement, he was able to get out and walk, 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 and now he's seen improvement in the other leg without a procedure. So on top of that, we now have boots from Biotab, and I think there are a couple of other companies, but I've worked with Biotab because Biotab generously donated a pair of boots to one of our group members where he's calcified. He literally has been to the best of the best of the best of the best, and there is no other revascularization option for him at this point. There is no bypass option, and no, he does not have wounds, but he has serious pain. And these boots can help grow collateral vessels. And it's already been clinically proven. It's FDA indicated for PAD. And so why not try? And the company, because the insurance company is giving the doctor a hard time and giving the company a hard time about paying the bill. Initially, they said they would cover it, and then now they're playing games. So the company said, you know what, here, let me just donate you a pair of boots, get you started, and let's see if they even work. And then we'll fight even harder to get the insurance company to cover them if you need them long term. There's also, I heard, a couple of different types of injections that you can get that stimulate angiogenesis. And one I would think would be a little painful, where they go into the bone marrow. They pull out the bone marrow and then they re-inject it down in the foot and the cells and such down there in the foot. And supposedly there's a vascular surgeon out of North Carolina, Marina, one of your doctors out of Charlotte, North Carolina, that I met actually through you. And I'm supposed to be talking to one of his office managers pretty soon to see what more we can do, because he's really on the cutting edge. And he was telling me about this. He introduced me to the company that makes this the device, I guess, for the injection. So there are a lot of these different types of things that are now available, and even more that I'm seeing down the road. There's a laser that I can now talk about, the Dabra laser. If you go to mydabralaserstory.com, mydabra, D-A-B-R-A, laserstory.com, that's how I got into the business many, many years ago. Had the opportunity to follow a laser company on its journey from the very first case, clear through FDA clearance, clear through global commercialization. There were some administrative and board decisions that were not above board, and the company ended up going under, but the inventor of that laser was able to get a hold of the rights, and we're hoping to see that roll out again. There were a bunch of games that I learned in my journey as a journalist embedded into the mix. And this company and the board of directors tried really hard to discredit me. They even said that I slept with the CEO, that I had
Well, who
relations with
doesn't?
the CEO. They said, and I don't mind this being public, it's not true.
Right.
100% not true. Anyone who knows me knows that I have integrity, I have ethics, and I would never do that. I've been friends with the CEO for a very long time. I even knew his wife first. But needless to say, it started with, I had pain in my legs because I was wearing 3-inch boots. And the president of the company ended up taking a picture of me holding on to the CEO's arm because I'm like, how much further do we have to go? And he's like, here, just lean on me. We'll get you there. And I learned, and ever since then, I don't wear 3-inch boots going to any of these conferences. If you've ever been to Vegas and you know how far Caesars is from, I can't remember the other hotel, but it's a long way. But needless to say, so there were some games that were going on in there, and they claim that the product didn't work right and this and that. I have video proof on that website that the product worked. I was there on the front lines. As a journalist, I watched it work. I talked to the doctors that were skeptical prior to it working. The sound bites are even on that website. And yet there was nothing that was done out there to try and get this product maintained in the market. And so it's really upsetting how many legs were lost over the last few years while this wasn't on the market. But thankfully, the former CEO of the company, the inventor of the laser, is bringing back this laser, and it can go through. I watched it go through so many chronic total occlusions in the legs. I mean, I don't know if you know how most of the devices work during the angiogram. All of the devices that are out there, I would say 99.9% of the devices that are out there only work if a wire is able to cross the blockage. So they all are threaded over a wire. So the wire has to get through the blockage. There has to be a path by which that wire can get through. Now, there is a company called AngioSafe that has a new device that is it's a grinder, and you twist your way through. And I heard it got through, like, I think it was a 16-centimeter occlusion, like this really long occlusion. It's the longest one they've done. And that was out of Scottsdale, Arizona, with Dr. Venki Ramaya. He did it. And so that's pretty good. But this laser it also does not require a wire. We always would say it is the wire. And you would send the laser in, and when a wire could not cross, so every single one of the cases in its FDA clearance process in the study, every one of the cases, nothing else could be done. Amputation must be the next option. No other device worked. And if no other device worked, they would try the wire. They would try the laser because a wire could not cross. And the laser went through, I think it was a 94% success rate. And I was in the cases where it didn't work. And the one was in Mississippi. And the doctor he would just move patients through, and he just didn't have enough patience. So patience for patients. So he was like, you know what? I'm already putting my life on the line for these patients, for a long enough period of time under the radiation. I got 5 more patients to go. So he just gave up. He was like, it's just no. The other one, I remember being in the room in El Centro, California, and the doctor looked at the CEO and said, I mean, the laser could go through. We could continue, but the patient's going to have to probably be under for another hour. And it's going to be a slow progression all the way through. And the CEO said, is this going to make a difference for her medically? Is it going to change? Is the clinical outcome going to really change? And he said, honestly, this is such a long occlusion that it's never going to heal right. I mean, it's just, she's calcium. You could see the calcium trail without even putting any contrast fluid in. And the reason is because the calcium, right? You take an x-ray of the bones because there's calcium, you could see them. Same thing under the x-ray without the contrast fluid being pumped in. And a lot of these patients, especially the really heavy smokers that are continuing to smoke, you can see the calcium trail. The arteries are fully calcified. It's crazy when you see them. And so they decided that it wasn't the best option for her to keep going and keep going and keep going, because you don't want to do harm. It would cause more harm than good, keeping her under for a longer period of time. And especially with chronic kidney disease, having to use more contrast fluid. Even if you could see them, you still need some of the contrast fluid. But anyway, but that laser is going to be coming out. So I think that there is so much more hope, but I'm really hoping and praying that the insurance companies can go through. I'm going to Capitol Hill next week. I'm going to be meeting with former Senator and Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle. I was invited by Neuros Medical, which I don't know if you've seen the recent episode of The Heart of Innovation, where I talked to the CEO and a vascular surgeon about post amputation and the pain that our patients continue to experience. The doctors tell our patient, well, if you want to get rid of the pain, the only way to get rid of the pain is to just amputate. Well, then for so many of our patients, the pain does not go away.
Right.
Not only the regular residual pain, but also the phantom pain is there. And this company is providing a device that you can embed. It's almost like a spinal device that you can embed in there. And the patient can control the amount of, I guess, I don't know, power or whatever that goes in there that can help deaden that nerve that is firing up. And so they're meeting on Capitol Hill with this he's chairman of this lobbying firm. And I'm not sure what their relationship is with them. All I know is that I was invited to come to the table to give the patient's perspective and to talk about the reality of PAD and the fact that at this current rate, without the ARC Act in place that will provide coverage for at-risk patients, particularly those who have a history of smoking, history of hypercholesterolemia, high blood pressure, diabetes, whatever it may be, without having that in place, so many of these patients are going to go undiagnosed until they're a toe step away from amputation, as it stands right now. And until they have that ARC Act in place, so many primary care doctors are going to continue to be oblivious to this particular disease. Now, what's really great is the CLI Global Society, the critical limb ischemia, that's the advanced stage of PAD, the CLI Global Society. We were just meeting yesterday. There's a committee that's being led by Dr. John Runback, who's an advanced limb saver out of Orange, New Jersey. He's a vascular interventional radiologist. And I'm really excited about their initiative, where they're looking to do localized conferences that they will support in different areas that have high rates of amputation, where the lead advanced limb savers in the area will hold a continuing medical education credit event for referring doctors, primary care, clinicians, ultrasound techs, podiatrists, and such in the area, to educate them on CLI. So that's really cool. And I think that that's going to make a huge difference. Initially, they were thinking, well, let's just go after the patients and do some PAD awareness campaigns. Well, we've tried PAD awareness campaigns. The American Heart Association's out there. The American Diabetes Association is out there. You have Sky. You have I think it's the PAD. There's another PAD from Sky. It's a collaboration between the Society for Vascular Surgery, has their Highways to Health, or Highway to Health. You have different companies that have their own websites and their own campaigns. I mean, even the individual doctors, vascular surgeons, are now getting into the mix and putting their own awareness campaigns together out there, even for their own practices. But it's not moving the needle. Even under the Global PAD Association, we're putting things out there. It's not moving the needle. So what's the next step? The next step is, why don't we just go direct to the primary care physicians? Why don't we go direct to the emergency room physicians, to the urgent care clinics? These are the people that are really on the front lines, especially the emergency rooms, especially the urgent care clinics. That we just had a patient brushed off the other night from an urgent care, actually 3 urgent care clinics. She went to 3 different ones right here in the San Francisco Bay Area, got brushed off of all of them. And that's just really sad. So, gosh, it's just a lot. There's more work to do, but if anyone wants to get involved, they can email us at info@padhelp.org and make sure to join us. We have great Q&As with doctors every single day. Maria is kind enough to put up in our group, padsupportgroup.org, all of the different live streams that we have. Email Marie, message Marie. If you have questions you want us to include, you can message me, you can message Marie. We're all available. We're all in contact. Anyone in the group, you can message. Anyone will get a hold of me if they need to. You can email info@padhelp.org. But don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. youtube.com/the @ A Way to My Heart. And call the Leg Saver hotline if you have any questions.
And don't